Vladimir Putin's latest actions have ignited outrage across continents. Protests are spreading from India to Iraq and across parts of Africa, as families demand answers for their missing sons, men lured to Russia under false pretenses and sent to die on the front lines of Ukraine. It's a story that exposes the Kremlin's desperate attempts to sustain a failing war, using deception, coercion, and an alleged global network of human trafficking. The evidence began surfacing when a Russian commander made a critical mistake. Videos from the battlefield emerged online, showing terrified foreign men pleading for help, confessing they had been tricked into fighting in a war they barely understood. That moment shattered the illusion of control that Moscow had tried to maintain, while Putin scrambled to contain the fallout. A second crisis was brewing at home. Domestic unrest erupted after the arrest of a teenage singer who dared to perform anti-war songs. Her detention triggered a wave of street performances, as young Russians sang in defiance of a regime that now feared its own youth. This is the story of how a war built on lies has turned inward against its creator. For India, it began with a single viral clip. A group of Indian students, visibly shaken, explained how they had been kidnapped and forced into Russia's army. "Hello," one said. "All of us friends came to visit Russia for the new year, and we met an agent here. He showed us around and later said he would take us to Belarus. He told us he'd show us around there and bring us back. We didn't know we needed a visa. He took us anyway. When we got there, he started demanding more money. We gave him what he asked before, but he wanted more. We didn't have it. He left us right there on the Belarus highway. Then the police caught us and handed us over to the Russian army." The students went on to describe what happened next. "They kept us somewhere for 3 or 4 days. They brought someone who spoke our language and gave us a condition. Either you all will be jailed for 10 years or sign a contract with us. It was supposed to be a helper's job, cooking food or driving. We signed it. It was in their language. We didn't know what was written in it. Then they took us to a training center. That's when we realized we'd been deceived. We had been enlisted in the army. After training, they were sent to Ukraine. We are 7 people, one added. We've been told that in a day or 2, we'll be sent to the front line. None of us even knows how to hold a gun properly. We hope the Indian embassy and the government of India will get us out." That video spread like wildfire across Indian media and social platforms, racking up tens of millions of views. For the Kremlin, it was a nightmare. Putin had long ordered his commanders never to let foreign recruits near a phone. Yet, in this case, one did, and the truth was broadcast to the world. Tragically, one of the students in that video was killed just a day later. His family revealed that he never understood what he had signed. The Russian translator had lied about the contract's contents, tricking him into what was essentially forced conscription. When news of his death broke, his family went public, pleading with the Indian government to rescue other citizens trapped in the same deception. Their story exposed a wider network that had quietly expanded across continents. Investigations revealed that Russia was operating a global human trafficking system, targeting young men in countries like India, Iraq, Yemen, Brazil, Argentina, Cuba, and several African nations. The pattern was consistent. Local agents scouted social media for vulnerable job seekers, offering lucrative work or education opportunities in Russia. But once the recruits arrived, their passports were confiscated, and they were sent to the front lines with minimal or no training. As reports multiplied, New Delhi could no longer stay silent. The Indian government formally raised the issue with Moscow, demanding the return of all Indian nationals coerced into military service. Putin, facing mounting diplomatic pressure, promised cooperation. But that promise, like many before it, was never kept. Months later, no progress had been made. Indian media outlets began warning citizens to avoid any offers related to the Russian army. "Don't sign anything you don't understand," one government advisory stated. By last month, the Ministry of External Affairs confirmed it was in direct contact with Russian authorities in both Moscow and New Delhi. Officials said they were pressing for the release of Indian nationals trapped on the battlefield and for an immediate end to the practice. The ministry also confirmed outreach to the families of those affected, urging caution against deceptive job offers, but their statements came too late for many. At least 15 Indian nationals who had entered Russia on student or tourist visas were now confirmed to be fighting or dead on the front lines in Ukraine. By November 4th, outrage erupted into open protest. Families in several Indian cities took to the streets, carrying photos of their sons and demanding accountability. They called directly on Vladimir Putin to stop killing innocent Indians. One grieving family confirmed that 2 students had already been killed. Their bodies never returned. Further testimonies from survivors painted an even darker picture. One student recounted his friend's final days. "Many have died," he said. "You live in a dugout and go on assaults as infantry. Everything's bad there. My friend signed a contract, and 10 days later, that was it. He died. Nobody. Nothing. He came to Moscow as a student. They told him if you sign a contract, you get 2 million rubles. He was 24 or 25 years old. The young man's death in Pokrovsk underscored the scale of deception. Lured by false promises of money or safe work, hundreds of foreign citizens found themselves trapped in Russia's war machine. And while the Kremlin viewed them as expendable, the backlash abroad was becoming costly. India, one of Russia's key oil customers, faced growing domestic anger. Citizens began questioning whether it made sense to buy discounted Russian oil while their compatriots were being sent to die in Putin's war. Back in India, frustration was mounting. Unlike Russia, India is a democracy, and in democracies, pressure builds. Each revelation, each protest, each viral video has amplified public demand for transparency. But while international protests might frustrate the Kremlin, the unrest inside Russia poses a far greater threat to Putin's grip on power. Inside Russia, it began with an arrest that seemed minor at first. An 18-year-old singer named Diana Longova was detained in mid-October for performing an anti-war song. The official charge was protesting without a permit. She was sentenced to 14 days in prison. When she completed her sentence and stepped out of jail, she was arrested again, this time accused of discrediting the army. The charge carried no immediate sentence, but she remains imprisoned. In Russia, laws change depending on the Kremlin's mood, and even Russians are beginning to recognize the absurdity. She was arrested, after all, for singing. Her case has galvanized young Russians. Videos show teenagers gathering in city squares, performing the same song that led to her arrest. Though the government has censored data on demonstrations, the growing size of these gatherings is visible in the footage that continues to circulate online. For many, Longova's defiance symbolizes a generation no longer willing to stay silent. The Kremlin's response has been predictably harsh. Citizens have been detained for actions as small as wearing pins in the colors of the Ukrainian flag. In one recorded arrest, an officer asked a woman where she was being taken. "To the Vyborg District Court," she replied calmly. Her crime was a pin. The repression reflects a deeper anxiety within Putin's regime. After more than 2 years of war, the Russian government can no longer control the narrative abroad or at home. Each protest, each viral clip erodes the myth of national unity that Moscow has tried to sustain. Even children have begun to speak out. During a televised event, a young girl named Kira confronted Putin directly. "My uncle is at the front right now," she said. "He was wounded in the arm. He was in a hospital but received no treatment. Now he's being sent on another mission. I would like him to be transferred to a good hospital in Russia." Putin paused before replying, "We'll find him. Thank you for remembering him. Good for you, Kira." The exchange went viral, not because of what was said, but because of what it revealed. A child publicly asking the president to stop sending her family to war. At that moment, Putin's problem was clear. His enemy was no longer NATO, nor Ukraine, but his own people. 2 years into the invasion, Russia's battlefield performance has faltered, its economy is strained, and its propaganda is crumbling under the weight of reality. The trafficking of foreign citizens into combat zones is not a sign of strength, but of desperation. It shows a regime running out of soldiers, running out of lies, and running out of time. As protests spread abroad and defiance grows within, the question is no longer whether Putin can win in Ukraine. It is whether he can contain the revolt that his own deceit has unleashed. The truth that began with one viral video has now become impossible to silence. The Kremlin may still command its armies, its prisons, and its propaganda, but what it cannot control, what no regime can ever truly suppress, is the moment when its people begin to see through the lie. And when that happens, history shows the downfall of a dictator is not decided on the battlefield. It begins with the voices that refuse to stop singing.